What's up, guys? Figured I would go through some plays. So CSGO lines just dropped for tomorrow. So figured might as well share my screen. We can go through some bets. So we'll start out on the OddsJam Fantasy Optimizer. And basically all this tool does, it's pretty simple. It just points out big discrepancies in the market. And you can see right here, there's a fair amount of pretty good plays. So if you take a look at this first play, and we'll see how long this stream ends up lasting. But this first player, Kavem, so you can see I already bet him over 39.5. It's currently available. The line moved up a bit to 40, but this play is still really solid. And you're going to notice OddsJam's recommending this play. It's pretty simple because PrizePicks and ParlayPlay. So if you go over to ParlayPlay and you go to CSGO, right, you're going to see they have his line at 42.5. This game starts at 3:30. So the reason esports is a great sport to, bet on, add to your arsenal is literally you can see on Underdog Fantasy, there's thousands of lines. There's so many lines out there available that you can bet on, right? In sportsbooks, they quite simply can't keep their lines in check. So Underdog Fantasy has their line at 40. PrizePicks is saying, no. This line should be higher. They're saying, this line should be at, 42.5. ParlayPlay is also saying the line should be at 42.5. So it's pretty clear Underdog Fantasy is the discrepancy here. They have their line too low, so we want to take the over. So another good play to go with, would be this. Again, Underdog Fantasy, unfortunately, they limit me to only $100 per bet. But regardless, if we wanted to make a play, what we could go with is, Invisible over 36.5. Once again, ParlayPlay, PrizePicks have the line higher at 38.5. And then maybe you could take like Annihilally, whoever this guy is. So let's refresh this. The market's always moving. So this seems like it would be a decent play to go with, right? These three overs, again, I would bet it, but you're going to see they're going to say, hey, you've already reached your $100 limit on Kavem. So in general, those picks seem pretty good, right? Because you can't pair two players from the same team. It would actually be great if we could pair, Michu over 34 instead of this play. But you're going to notice Underdog Fantasy, which is different than PrizePicks, they don't let you bet on players from the same team in esports. So they don't let you do that. And you're going to see on Underdog Fantasy, cashing pretty good. You got to remember, these are 6x payouts, right? We're betting 100 to win 600. So we're not going to win every single bet, right? We're not even going to win 50% of them, but it's a really juicy payout, right? You're betting 100 to win 600. So you don't need to win that high of a percentage to turn a profit. And you're going to see we're doing pretty good here, right? We went 3 for 3, up $600, whatever. And what we can do is we can refresh this, and then we can kind of look at, I've explained before, but the more sportsbooks you have, the better, right? All my refer a friend codes, I usually include them in the live streams. Maybe they're there, maybe they're not. But actually what we can do is now we actually have a decent play. So you can see this play just came up. Darian Blanco under half of a single. So what I can do is replace this play with this, right? So Blanco under half of a single, Invisible over 36.5, and Michu over 34. PrizePicks has the line at 36. ParlayPlay, another data point, has the line at 36.5. So this is just sharp data-driven sports betting, right? And then I can kind of explain this play on Blanco. So let me share my screen again. So this is what I would recommend locking in. If you're on this live stream, these two overs and then this under. And I'm going to lock it in here in a second. So if you want to bet it, go ahead, take advantage of it. Is essentially if you go to the MLB, right, and we go to batter props and then singles, like OddsJam's a very simple platform. Everything based in data is you're going to see DraftKings, like every other sports book, you can see on this fantasy optimizer, they all have Blanco heavily favored to go under half of a single. All of the sports books are saying, hey, he's a lot more likely to go under, right? The under is the favorite outcome. He's a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. So Underdog Fantasy is a platform, right, where you're always getting a 6x payout on these parlays. Doesn't matter if you take over, under, always getting a 6x payout. So because all the sports books, and I should lock it in before the line move, because all the sports books are telling us Blanco is a lot more likely to go under, we want to include the under in our underdog fantasy entry. So this is the first pick I'm going to go ahead and lock in. And again, like, never know when the best bets are going to occur and never know when the sports books are going to screw up. They literally just dropped like 15 minutes ago at 1:30-ish Pacific time. They dropped CSGO lines for the upcoming day. A lot of opportunities, some of them, I already bet, but regardless, like just hit this one on live stream. So hopefully, if you guys wanted an underdog fantasy play, you were able to tail it. And then, again, here's my YouTube. Dang, I look good in that photo. But again, like my refer a friend codes are here. If you don't use underdog fantasy, more sports books you have, the better, right? Like I signed up for the sportsbook hot streak just recently, right? Again, most of these sports books, I just sign up to take advantage of their, new user deposit offers that are basically their incentives to try to get you to sign up for their book. And then if I'm able to find profitable plays on that platform, I keep betting on it. So this play I gave out on Fliff yesterday, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? Like Portugal, Vietnam, if you haven't bet this, I mean, the game's a few days away, but whatever. Take the under 1.5 first half total goals at plus 100. You're going to see every other sports book. So this is Pinnacle, which is known to be the sharpest, the smartest sports book out there. They're all ripping odds lower, right? They're all ripping odds lower on this under 1.5 goals, right? You can see they've moved from plus 108 all the way down to minus 144. So maybe the weather changed. Maybe lineups changed. Who knows? But in sports betting, you have all these different books setting lines. So you have all these data points, and every sports book is telling you, yo, this line should be like minus 145. Fliff is giving you plus 100. What are they doing? They're the only sports book with the over favored. Every other sports book has this like minus 144. So, I would absolutely hammer this if I were you. I already bet it for the max I could. So unfortunately, not going to be able to, bet it again, but regardless. So then we can go over to hot streak, right? I've explained before when I'm using this tool, I try to just like set max odds to 200-ish. And you can see here, what's cool about this hot streak platform is every single hour, they run these odds boosts, right? So it doesn't look like there's any right now, but in general, they seem to have some pretty good odds boosts and whatever crap like that. They run a fair amount of promos. So typically I recommend just putting your max odds at like 200, maybe 300-ish, and sometimes you can see some pretty good plays. But anyways, right now it doesn't look like there's anything crazy good. On the earlier live stream, they run these like very limited window promos, right? Where basically for 60 minutes, a promo will be up and then it goes away. So this play earlier, and they literally tell you your play is good. They tell you it's plus EV and they put a little fire emoji there. So you can see like this play earlier was an odds boost, Nathaniel Lowe to have an RBI. And usually the fantasy optimizer picks them up, but it doesn't look like there's anything, great on hot streak right now. So it's like, okay, whatever, nothing on hot streak, no promos. Well, we can check out, Jock Market. On Jock Market, nothing super good. I have explained this before, though. Jock Market has the exact same payouts as PrizePicks for their 5-pick entries. But a good reason to get Jock Market, and again, my refer a friend code will be below, is, like PrizePicks doesn't have this line available. This Tyler O'Neill player. So if we go here to the MLB, like a lot of people don't understand, why do I need multiple sports books? And it's like, okay, PrizePicks doesn't have this line available on Tyler O'Neill under 1.5 bases, but this is a really good bet. But it's only on Jock Market. So if you don't have Jock Market, you're missing out on this really profitable bet. So that's why you kind of want to have as many bookmakers as possible. You never know where the value is going to be on a given day. So on Jock Market, there's only one play available. If we switch over to ParlayPlay, which is another sports book I use a lot, you can see there's a lot of value. So we're going to start betting on ParlayPlay definitely here in a second. So if we check out PrizePicks, nothing really. Aside from, well, actually, looks like Dota 2 lines just dropped. So it looks like more esports plays. So again, like the market's always moving, sports books are always dropping lines, and as sharp bettors, we're always trying to capitalize. So what we can do is we can be like, okay, dang, there's a lot of plays. man, we're going to have a long live stream ahead if it stays up like this. There are plays everywhere. So what we can do is we can go to Underdog Fantasy. And again, like you will never see discrepancies like this in the in the NBA. You're never going to see a player's rebound line at 11 on Underdog Fantasy, and PrizePicks has his line at 9. Now, the thing is when you're betting on esports, so if you take a look at this player 21 Savage, 23 Savage, his line is 9. On Underdog Fantasy, his line is 11. You're never going to see that in the NBA. But what kind of stinks about esports is not a bunch of books post lines. So there's really big discrepancies. There's really good bets. But, here for this play on Fliff, if I actually switch to another state, I think there's a ton of sports books, or this play on Tyler Neal on JockMKT, right? Like there are literally dozens of sports books posting lines on MLB props like player bases. So it's clear as day. This is a play we want to go with on JockMKT. Again, JockMKT is a platform just like PrizePicks. They don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. Just like PrizePicks, we take under, we take over. The payout doesn't change. So the strategy for beating them is pretty simple. Look for spots where sportsbooks have an under really heavily favored. And in this case, it's Tyler O'Neill under 1.5 bases. And there's tons of sportsbooks. They're all saying the same thing. Pinnacle, sharpest sportsbook out there, has the under really heavily favored. Leo Vegas, probably have never heard of this sportsbook. They have the under really heavily favored. Hot Streak, under really heavily favored. All the books are telling you, yo, this under should be really heavily favored. But anyways, let's get back to esports. So again, like what kind of stinks about esports is there's just not a ton of books posting lines. But a strategy you can use that I like a lot is called middle betting. So what middle betting is essentially you take advantage of these line discrepancies by taking you take the higher line, you take the under. So we take the under 11 on Underdog Fantasy. We're like, essentially, it's like buying a stock at $9. We're taking the over on PrizePicks because his line's at 9. It's like buying a stock at $9, and then we're selling it for 11 on Underdog Fantasy. We're taking his under on Underdog Fantasy at his line's at 11. So it's like, dang, that play seems pretty good. So what we can do is we can refresh this. A lot of line discrepancies available. So then we can go to Quinn. And Quinn's line is 14.5 here. But you don't want to take players. Well, actually, this works out great for us. So in esports, it's actually an added benefit. So I want to lock this in quickly. So I'm going to lock this in for $100 on Underdog Fantasy if you want to get in on it with me. Underdog Fantasy tends to be the side that's screwing up. But, their lines move quicker. So you really have to move quick to get in on these really good betting opportunities. But long story short, an added benefit in esports is, again, these platforms, they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. That's how PrizePicks, that's how Underdog Fantasy work. But long story short, like when you're betting on esports, taking players on opposing teams to go opposite directions is a big benefit. And I can guarantee you, if you check tomorrow, man, I just turned the light off. But if you check tomorrow, you're going to see these discrepancies. If you check before game time, you're not going to find these 2-point gaps. This is just huge errors that sportsbooks have when their models are launching, and errors mean opportunity for us as a sharp sports bettor. So what we can do is we can start building another slip on Underdog Fantasy. So on Underdog Fantasy, they give you a 6x payout for the 3-pick entries. On PrizePicks, it's only 5x, which is why you won't see me playing, 3-pick entries on PrizePicks because they rip you off with their payouts. They're only giving you 5x. Underdog Fantasy is giving you 6x. But anyways, what we can do is we can start making another play. So here we want to take the under. On PrizePicks, we want to take the over. But I'm not going to do this in the same entry, right? We do not want to be taking players on opposing teams in esports to both go over. That is negatively correlated in Dota. So we're not going to take that. So what we will take is GPK. So let's make sure this is a different team. So BB versus 9P. Any BB versus 9P. So we want to take him over. And in general, Underdog Fantasy tends to be the side that's screwing up. But regardless, I'm trying to create 5-pick flexes on PrizePicks. I have tons of videos about, whatever, why 5-pick entries are mathematically optimal. This play on esports, I've already bet for the max I could, so I'm not going to be able to bet that. But anyways, we can go here to this Yatoro player, right? And I want to take him under 14.5, first 2 map kills. So any correlation to be worried about here? I want to take him over. And then on Underdog Fantasy, I want to take him under 14.5. So essentially when esports lines drop, so I'm going to lock this in. Go ahead if the lines, these plays, they're not going to last forever. So what I want to do is I want to lock this in, right? Boom on PrizePicks. And then on Underdog Fantasy, I'm going to lock this in, 3 unders, right? And then I took 2 overs here, over 13, 14.5, over 14, right? 2-point line discrepancies is absolutely insane. It's still mind-boggling to me, right? These huge, huge, huge discrepancies. And you'll notice they'll go away. If you check again in an hour, they'll be gone. All OddsJam is doing, nothing complicated. This fantasy optimizer is it scans through every line on PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, all the sports books. OddsJam's updating literally millions of odds in real time and just pointing out, here's a discrepancy, right? Like most lines don't have discrepancies, but that's how you find sharp bets, right? That's how you make money. Like if we go to the MLB, Dean Kremer's line is 5 strikeouts on PrizePicks. Where does Underdog Fantasy have him? They don't even have a market, but they have him at 5.5 hits allowed. So let's see, where does PrizePicks have this guy's hits allowed? They don't even have a market, right? They don't have a market for this. But anyways, my point in general is you're going to see in general. So if we go here to we can go to the sportsbook screen. So some people like this sportsbook screen on OddsJam. It's, a pretty simple tool. All it does is show you where every book is setting a line. But if we go to MLB player strikeouts, you're going to see in general, it's really hard to find discrepancies between PrizePicks and Underdog. You look at the MLB, they're both at 4.5. All the sports books have Christopher Sanchez's line at 4.5 strikeouts. There's no discrepancies in the market. There's no major differences in odds. There's no value, right? Being a sharp bettor is all about finding edges, finding discrepancies, right? Finding value in the market. Because the market's fragmented. All these books set lines independently. So you're going to see here, Luis Castillo. Both sports books have his, right? PrizePicks, Underdog have his line at 7. There's no value. There's no discrepancies in the market. Jose Barrios, both have his line at 5.5. No value in the market. So we can go here. And you can see there's some good plays on JockMKT as well. Again, pretty simple concept. More books you have, the better. There's 203 sports books on OddsJam. Looks like the top profit margin play is on BetUS, then FanDuel. More books you have, the better, right? It really is that simple. This play looks incredible. Ryan Yarbo, over 2.5 strikeouts. Play Now has this at -116. I've never heard of this sports book, but you're going to see the average price across dozens of sports books is -153 odds. So obviously -116 seems pretty dang good. And then you're going to notice this Hot Streak platform, they're probably running a new promo, right? Again, my refer a friend code is below for Hot Streak, but so what we can do is we can go here and we can take a look at Josh Harrison. So my refer a friend code, you get a $200 deposit match. It's just my name, Alex. So you're going to see Josh Harrison, right? They're literally telling you this play is profitable. It's only a $10 max bet size, but they're giving you a massive increase in the payout from a 2.48 payout, so 100 to 248 bucks, to 295, 100 to 295. And I have some tutorial videos online about Hot Streak, but again, I don't want to dwell on kind of the same things I say in every video, kind of explaining how it works, whatever, stuff like that. So what about Graham Ashcraft, over 5.5 hits allowed? So I need one more play to pair with. That's the way Hot Streak works, right? You need at least 2 picks in your entry. If I try to just bet one thing, it says, no. You need at least 2 picks. So I'm going to go to Graham Ashcraft, over 5.5 hits allowed, lock that in. Only $10 max bet size. I try to move quickly. Again, great lines. They don't last forever. So let's lock it in. And there we go. Right? So there's my entry. So 2 picks. I'm betting 10 to win 53. And you'll notice, like, all of my, like, I'm basically just doing these $10 promos. And I've already made hundreds of dollars within the past month since I signed up on the sportsbook. I mean, again, first of all, they literally give you $200 for free when you first sign up. And then I'm basically just betting in general these promos. $10 to win 42, 10 to win 54. Literally, they're pointed out by OddsJam. So every time it's a new hour, the clock strikes 2, 3, 4, the clock strikes 5. There's a new promo on Hot Streak, only $10 max bet size, but I mean still. So I don't use most of these books. So what I can do is, I can filter out some of these. So OddsJam scans millions of odds, 200 plus sports books, but obviously you care most about, unsurprisingly, probably the sports books that you use. So what we can do is we can go back here. We can go here to Hot Streak. So we just bet this on Hot Streak. And so then we can open up ParlayPlay and Underdog Fantasy again. And again, the sportsbook screen is pretty simple. Any league you want to look at, any market, just shows you where books have their line set. Some people like it, some people don't. So we can go to ParlayPlay because there were some pretty good picks, and ideally find some good picks on ParlayPlay. So it's pretty simple. Like the strategy on ParlayPlay, I mean, just like PrizePicks, just like Underdog Fantasy, right? They don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under, right? So the strategy is simple. Look for spots where sportsbooks have one side really heavily favored. So if we go to Patrick Corbin's strikeouts, so pitcher props, strikeouts, and you type in Corbin, right? We're day trading. We're literally day trading the sportsbooks, taking advantage of inefficiencies to get an edge and make money long term. It's all what it's all about. Sportsbooks have the under really heavily favored. So we know he's more likely to go under. So we would be an idiot to put the over in our ParlayPlay entry because every sportsbook has his under very heavily favored. So we have our first pick. And what we can do is it's kind of like data overload. So what we can do is we can, pretty quickly start to go through the rest of these. So what else do we like? Unfortunately, ParlayPlay, they only have, I think, like $100 max bet sizes for each player. So for Luis Castillo, I already bet this, but I only bet this as part of a promo. They're also running a promo. All these books with their promos trying to get you to sign up. So I only hit this for $20, so I'll be able to bet it for another 80 or so. So I can take this. And then what else do we want? Kent Maeda, over 4.5 hits allowed. So it's like, okay, we want to take him over 4.5 hits allowed. So then, we're just following the data. Here, sportsbooks have his over. They have Maeda's over 4.5 hits allowed. The over is the more likely outcome. So that's the play we want to include in our ParlayPlay entry. So then we have Ryan Yarbrough, under 3 strikeouts. Sportsbooks have his line at 2.5. PrizePicks and Underdog, it doesn't look like they even have a lineup. So this guy must be really bad at pitching. Strikeout line is at 3. He looks like he's 14. So let's continue to go through and hopefully find some good picks. Man, there are a lot of esports lines dropping, as I'm sure you can see on my screen. So Sanchez, over 5 hits allowed, like whatever, sure. That'll be the last play we go with. We'll keep no esports. We just bet a lot of it. So again, I'm only going to be able to bet this for 5 pick entries you want to place with insurance. So we'll try to bet this for $100. I don't think it's going to let me. I think it's going to say, oh, I've already reached my full limit. So I may have to reduce this to 80, and then are they going to take it? Then they'll take it. So 5 picks. And this play on Corbin's the best play. Obviously, these plays at the top that are more likely to win are, more profitable in your entry. So let's go back to Underdog. And you can see it's a lot of the same plays available, right? So what we can do is we can take a look here. So on Underdog Fantasy, we locked in a few plays, which is great. But they only let me bet. I mean, this is why a lot of people are like, how can you make money sports betting? It seems like the sports books would be out of business. It's like, first of all, you got to remember 99.9% of people bet with their gut, are clueless. They don't understand data. They don't really understand how to bet. They're betting for entertainment. They're not really trying to make money, right? They are trying to make money, but they're not really trying to make money. They don't really understand, how these platforms work, how their payouts work, which number of picks is optimal, all that type of stuff. They're not really trying to make money. So, and then the second thing sportsbooks can do is, again, they just limit your bet size. Underdog Fantasy says you only get $100 per esports player per day. So I can make money on Underdog, but it's only $100 per esports players per day. So we can go here. So this Mickey player, I've already bet. I've already hit my cap. I'm not going to be able to bet this again on Underdog Fantasy. 23 Savage, not 21 Savage. Not going to be able to bet it again. GPK, no love. Still really good discrepancies. There's still a lot of value out there, but not going to be able to bet them. Quinn, not going to be able to bet it. Did I already bet this Michu player? I already bet this Michu player. None of these plays I'm going to be able to bet anymore on Underdog Fantasy. So that's just kind of how it is. Yeah. So anyways, we placed a lot of the good bets. I mean, we hit a lot of bets during this live stream. Again, more books you use, the better. If you take one thing away from these videos, it's like follow the data, invest into your sports betting education, and get more sports books. I haven't used this sports book in like 2 years, maybe less than that, maybe like a year. There's a lot of profitable bets on it, right? The more books you have, the better. If you actually want to make money, you get a bunch of sportsbook accounts, right? You can see there's value on Betway, JockMKT, WinBet. So, understanding kind of how these platforms work, how many picks is optimal. So on JockMKT, you in general want to go with these 5-pick entries or 3-pick. They're kind of similar. But again, we have tons of strategy videos on the OddsJam YouTube, tons of videos, stuff like that, kind of breaking all this stuff down. But you can see here, this is a crazy good play. It's just not a sports book I currently use that much, but it's really good value. They're giving you plus 220 on the Diamondbacks minus 2.5 run line. Every other sports book is pricing this around plus 175-ish, right? So clear value. Sports betting is all about finding value, finding an edge. And we have tons of help videos on OddsJam kind of breaking down all these concepts. So when I started sports betting, I actually did arbitrage betting. Arbitrage betting is taking advantage of inefficiencies in the market to make a risk-free profit, right? Betting on 2 sports books when their models get so out of sync with each other. If you use Tipico in this sports book, you can place a bet on equal and opposite outcomes. The Cardinals plus 2.5 at minus 200, the Diamondbacks minus 2.5 at plus 220, and lock in a risk-free profit, right? Arbitrage betting. It's how I made my first $40,000 sports betting in less than a year. It's a really good strategy. I highly recommend learning about it. Again, we have tons of tutorial videos kind of breaking it down. How to make risk-free money sports betting, positive EV betting, all that sort of stuff. So we can go back here, Underdog Fantasy, anything new. You want to drop any new esports lines, so same lines, nothing new. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful though. And let's make some money, guys.